Guys, kindly ping your friends about starting of the lecture. Yes, recording has been started. So, very good afternoon to one and all present over here. Uh, Today, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Mahesh Toradamal sir. He is the CEO of the IBUS Corporation Company, and he belongs to Pune itself. He is working since this ML industry since last more than 20 years, and he has got the huge experience in learning with the ML projects. Even he was working with the abroad in IT companies and holding the good positions over there. And today he has actually ready to take the lecture on 11th hour. I have intimated him, and he agreed to take the lecture. So with his kind nature and with his expertise, I requested him to take the lecture today. Actually, he's not taking the lecture, but he's just discussing few points with respect to the industrial impact on ML. So I thought we are already learning with the ML platform. So the subject knowledge will get waste if you don't implement that subject in your our realistic life. So for that purpose, maybe this lecture is planned, and this schedule has been get planned. So without wasting much of the time, actually, I would like to call to Mr. Mahesh sir to start with the session, because students are still joining. But once within 1 or 2 minutes, the students will join in a good strength, because uh, I have requested them to join as early as possible. So over to you, Mahesh sir. We can start with the session, sir, today. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As ma'am said, that we will be discussing today about the. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very
Oh,
well.
great, great. So, to start with, once again, thanks you for joining this lecture after your post lunch time. I do really appreciate you joining this one. At the same time, thank you, ma'am, for giving the opportunity to interact with the youth of this country, which always give me the feeling and get me idea that how the things are moving in a current generation. When I say current generation, I feel that I'm from the previous generation, where the 20 years back, when the IT industry was in a boom, and I jumped into that one. So that is the time when I started working in the IT industry. So to give you the brief idea, I'm working with the, as ma'am said, I'm working with the IBUS Corporation Private Limited since from last 6-7 years, and specifically we are working on a machine learning and artificial intelligence. Prior to that one, I worked with Deloitte, and prior to that, I worked with HSBC. I was being there in United States for a longer period, and after that, when I came back, I started working with this IBUS Corporation. So I will not spend lot much time in introduction, and I'm not going to spend time in asking your introduction. We will directly jump, as we are having only 45 minutes to cover this particular part. So let me share my presentation. I'm a new user of this meeting, so let me see entire screen. No, a window. Yes, a window, and this one. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So today we will be discussing about the impact of machine learning on today's industrial scenario. So if we consider this particular topic, and to before starting, we will have the question and answer session at the end. If you are having any questions, I would like to and love to answer those questions at the end of the session, because as this standard protocol, we are not keeping audio on for all the students. So you can feel comfortable to ask me question at the end. You can note it down your questions, and we will discuss further. So impact of machine learning on today's industrial scenario. If we see this heading and topic, we have to break this one to go through it. So the first is impact of machine learning, and the second one is today's industrial scenario. So the current agenda, what we will be discussing in today's discussion, I'm going to give you the introduction about the what is the current scenario, what is the machine learning. Further to that one, we will talk about what is machine learning and then why it is required, why that machine learning is having so hype in the market, why these artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, UiPath, all these kind of things are having so getting so buzz created around it. So we will talk about that one, why it is required. At the same time, where it could apply. That means exactly where we could apply this one. At the same, who apply it, who are those people who will be applying this machine learning or artificial intelligence into the business, and the last one is how they apply it, how exactly they apply it into the current scenario, business scenario, and how the business gets benefited out of it. So we will talk about that one and few use cases. So few use cases, I will talk about the few business scenarios where the machine learning and the artificial intelligence really resulted in a better solutions. So we will discuss about that part. Okay, so to start with introduction, current scenario. In a current scenario where if you really see any business always feel very sensitive toward the 3 pointers in the market. The first pointer is a business risk. What is the business risk that particular business is carrying in a current situation or in a current economic condition? That is the first part, business risk. Then the second part, what is the competition they are facing into the market, whether they are in a blue ocean strategy where there is no other people who are competing with them, or whether they are in a red ocean strategy. Red ocean strategy means there are multiple players and everyone is trying to get sharehold of market and trying to look for the better positioning their product into the market to capture the larger customer base. So that is the another one. What is the competition? First one is what is the business risk. So if you really see, the COVID is also unknown risk which got materialized and because of which businesses are getting impacted. We will discuss on that one at the end. The competition in the market and then the opportunities. The important part is the opportunity. Unless and until we are having opportunity in the market, no one would like to invest into the business. This is true for you also. So as a student, if you do not find value in a particular lecture, you will not find interested to join that lecture. It is as simple as it is. So for me also, if I do not see the value addition in the things which I'm doing, if I'm not finding the benefits out of what I'm doing, I may end up stop doing that one. And same thing happens with the business also. So the opportunities, unless and until people see opportunities outside, people will not move out of their house. And that's what the business. So the current scenario, if you see, there is a business risk which business want to mitigate. At the same time, they would like to see the how much competition they are facing to sustain in the market. And the third one is the opportunities. What are all those opportunities which are available in the market which will help them to grow? While doing all these things, they have to depend on the whole amount of data which is available around them. Data in the sense of all kinds. That means what you are sensing, what you are viewing, what you are listening, what you are watching. All these kind of inputs are considered as a data, and this data is getting compiled, and the business owners and the business driving team, which we call as a strategic team, look into all these data points and take the decisions. So while taking the decision, there is a two part of it. One is they collect the data, they process that data, they compile that data, and out of that one, they get some kind of pointers. Once they get some kind of pointers, that first part is over. Second part starts. They apply their expertise, they apply their skills, they apply their experience, and they apply their gut feeling and take the decisions. So these are the two parts of this one, and that's where we call it as a two central units. One is a central processing unit, which we call as a CPU, which is always also there in the machines. So central processing units where the people collect the data and collect out of that one, they take the inference out of it, and they present that inference to the strategic team members. The second part is a central feeling unit. It is a human unit. So where the human intervention comes into the picture, central feeling unit is not, feeling means FEEL. It is not FIL. It is a feeling unit, where the person try to understand what kind of data is presented in front of him or her, and try to take the decisions according to his or her best capacity, and gives direction to the business. So these are the two parts. So the one part is a central processing unit, and the second part is a central feeling unit. So the central processing unit is something which we are going to talk more in this particular lecture. That's where the man versus machine difference comes into the picture. Machine is not having a central feeling unit. It is only going to have the central processing unit, where the man is having both the units, central feeling unit, at the same time central processing unit. But the central processing unit capacity of a human is not that much great where it can compete with machine, because machines are made for processing and people are made for the taking the decisions. Is it true in a current scenario? We will discuss about that part also, because now machine learning is taking control of human activities also, and where the major decision making on a day-to-day business can be carried out by machine. We will discuss about that one now. How to measure the impact? Now, till now, we talked about the current scenario, where in a current scenario, every business is looking for business risk, opportunities, and the competition in the market which they have to face. With that one, they would like to apply their two units. One is a central processing unit and central feeling unit. Central processing unit talks about the all the data compilation, whatever is the available in the market, and compiling that one, presenting it. And the central feeling unit is a human intervention where they take the decisions. And that's where the man versus machine comes into the picture. In my previous experience, most of the time I hit this kind of question where people ask me that if everything is going to take control, if everything is getting controlled by machine, then whether the human value will be reduced, or whether the human will be obsolete in the industrialization. I always mention them that human cannot be obsolete in the industrialization, because it is made by them, made for them. They are just using the machines to make their life easy. And most of the time I always mention this part also, that if a particular activity is done by man, and if that particular activity can be done by machine, then consider that activity as a mechanical activity. It is not having the feeling part in it. It is just the calculation mechanical activity, where some inputs gets in, there is a procedure applied to it, and the output comes out. So in that scenario, yes, we have to use that one. So how to measure the impact? To talk about this one, we always have to look from the business point of view. So from a business point of view, if you really ask me, if I have to give some kind of activities to the machine, and if I have to train the machines to do some kind of activities, how I will be measuring the impact? Measuring the impact means, let's talk about, if I hit the wall by 10 Newton, how much impact will be created on the wall? It is very rare to measure that impact, because the wall with a 10 Newton force not going to have any kind of change on the wall. But at the same time, if I'm going to use the smiley ball and put in my hand, and if I'm going to put the 10 Newton force on that squeezy ball, then that ball will get squeezed. So the impact is very higher with the 10 Newton. So we would like to measure that impact, and to measure that impact, we should understand what are all the things which industry look for. The first is a revenue and growth. When the particular business tries to invest in a machine learning or any kind of artificial intelligence activities, or trigger any project, the first thing what they look for is a revenue and growth. If I'm going to invest 10 rupees into it, how much I'm going to get return out of it? That is called as a revenue. And if the revenue is good enough, then what is the growth? growth in terms of scalability. Can I make it larger? Can I spread it across the nation? Can I spread it across the countries and make this particular project viable, feasible, and scalable? So if they see this particular first point where the revenue and the growth is there, definitely they will look for the machine learning investment. At the same time, once they understand that okay, there is a revenue, there is a growth, further to that one, what next? They will say that okay, 10 rupees amount of benefit I'm going to get, and if I scale it, I may get 100 rupees a day. So one shop is giving me 10 rupees a day, and if I put 10 shops, I will get 100 rupees a day. But at the same time, there is a time and efficiencies or efforts. How much efforts I have to put in, how much time I have to put in. If I, for the 10 different shops, I'm going to apply or deploy one person at a time in those shops, then the cost of that shop is going to be very high. So I might have to think that whether those shops can be automated. So they just have to vending machine, the way the vending machine at the railway station or any subway stations, wherever you want to get the Pepsi or Coca-Cola, you can put the dollar inside and get the Coca-Cola and Pepsi uh, through that one. So do I have to work on that kind of setup? So the next part after the revenue and growth, business always looks into the time and efficiencies, how much time I have to put into that one and how much efficiencies with which I can work in that particular initiative. So if it is matching, so the revenue growth is matching to the time and efficiencies, then the next part comes in, how much I have to invest today to get the 10 rupees in the next month. So if the investment is a 1000 rupees and the return is only 10 rupees, which is a 0.1%, then I might say that I don't want that kind of business. So if the business is going to give me 10 rupees by investing 1 rupee, or let's say investing not 1 rupee but 5 rupee, so the 100% profitability is there, then I might think of getting into that kind of activity. And when the computer or the software industry comes into the picture, believe me, no company looks for creating a business out of it. First they see that how the computerization, how the software implementation will help them to reduce the cost. If you really see the maximum software companies over here in India, which I call it as a captive offshore development center, CODC, captive offshore development centers. These are the software companies which are established by the parent businesses which are running in the United States or in Europe or in Australia, and they're having their software units in India. They call it as a CODC, captive offshore development center. The purpose of these centers is to reduce the operational cost. So the capital saving, how much capital we are saving, that is the another thing which business looks in. And the investment cost, the first is a saving, how much I am saving, and now tell me that how much I have to invest into the business. So if you are saying 5 rupees per shop per month, or per day you have to invest, then if I'm having a 10 shops, then you are talking about the 50 rupees per day I have to invest into the shops, so that I can get every day 100 rupees, and out of that one 50 rupees will be the profit ratio for me. And that's that 50% is the profit ratio which will give me the 50 rupees. So that's what this particular impact. So we always have to, whenever you go for your new project in a final year or in a third year, you always have to measure the impact of your project in this way, that whether this particular project is viable, whether it is going to give me the revenue, whether it is going to give me the growth, whether it is a scalable, how much time I have to invest into this project, efficiencies, how much efficiencies I have to put in. If you are expecting too much higher efficiencies and if you are not in position to deliver that much efficiencies, then that project is not viable and feasible. So if you try to understand these 4 pointers and apply it on your current project also, then you can get the idea that whether you can sell the product, whatever you will be developing out of your final year project or third year project, whether that particular product is sellable in a market or not. So if you get the answer, yes, it is sellable, start working on those kind of projects. If it is saying no, it is not sellable, it is not profitable, and it is not viable and feasible, stop working on those kind of projects. So this is what the instructions any parent company. When I'm saying parent company, let me give you the example. What is parent company and what is captive offshore development center software company? So let's say there is a one company in the United States having their own main business as a life insurance, and they're having their life insurance. They require around, let's say, 100 numbers of different softwares for the marketers, software for the calculation, software for the printing, software for communication, all these kind of softwares. And when the company is bigger, getting bigger and bigger, let's say we are talking about the company which is in a Fortune 500, and where they are having a large profitability, and rather than then in that scenario, they start thinking, rather than giving this particular software development and support to the third party, why not to start our own software development center in India or in any country where the cost of resources is very low. And that's where this kind of countries, like we talk about uh, the India, then the Manila, then the Hong Kong, where the software industry is getting boom. This is mainly because of the cost saving centers, and this impacts gets measured very heavily over there. So once we understand this one, let me click on the next one. And the what is machine learning? Most of the times, why I introduce this particular part into our today's lecture is mainly because whenever in my early days, whenever I used to get into the interviews and I used to ask this question to most of the freshers, they used to tell me that I would like to build my career in a machine learning and all those things. I used to ask them a single question: what is machine learning? Believe me, out of 10, 8 students were not in position to answer it. I'm not talking about correctly, I'm talking about firmly. They were not able to answer it firmly rather than correct, because when there is so much buzz around these kind of words, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all those things, I'm not expecting a single definition to be stands true in all the scenarios. But at the same time, students were not able to answer it firmly. So if you are building your career and if you are trying to build your career in a machine learning, you always have to be very crystal clear definition and very crystal clear view about machine learning. What exactly is the machine learning, how exactly it creates impact on business, and how you are going to make that impact, and what are all the tools you are going to use to do that one. So let's talk about the machine learning. Whether the machine learning is data collection, not really. Machine learning is not the data collection. Data collection is a part of machine learning. Apart from that one, there is a data cleaning part. What is meant by data cleaning? I hope this particular part is covered in your syllabus. Data cleaning, cleansing, you say cleansing, cleaning. The garbage data, or making the data in such a format that it can be used for the statistical operations. There are so many scenarios where we collect the data, but we fail to use that data for the statistical regressions or statistical modeling. So we have to clean that once the collection. Then once the data is collected, once the data cleaning happens, there are different tools to clean the data, and then the business intelligence comes into the picture. Business intelligence, you might have heard about the business objects, Cognos, reporting, and all those things, that all the different tools, or even the data stage also. So all these tools falls into this bucket, business intelligence tools. So these tools allows you to use the cleansing data and generate the reports out of it, and it presents the report to the management. When all these 4 activities are done in any organizations and reports are getting generated, these reports get generated on the history data. It is not live data, it is not the future data. Whatever these four activities you can do it on only past data, which is the data lying in the data warehouse. So if this particular data is available, then you can generate these kind of reports. And once the reports are generated, human take the decision. So these are the 5 activities which is a traditional human learning. If you really ask me, I will replace the machine learning and I will say that these are the activities which are done by human learning. So what we do, collect the data, clean the data, apply the business intelligence rules and regulations to it, and start working on that one, generate the report. Once the report is generated, and then take the present that one to the decision makers, and the decision makers looks into the data and take the decision. This is the traditional way of doing the business. But if you really see in a current scenario, there is a word called data science most of the time. So this particular part is very important for you to understand what is exactly machine learning in a business scenario. So all these activities comes under the data science in a new era. So we call these activities as a part of a data science. In that one, we collect the data and process it and reports. So the further to that one, data science, there is a subsection to the data science which called as the artificial intelligence. All these, whatever you take the name of artificial intelligence, fuzzy logic, whatever things comes under this one. And artificial intelligence is nothing but making the system capable to take the decisions. It is artificially designed intelligence inside the computer which will allow you to compile the data, and whatever human decisions were taken at the 5th step in a traditional way, allowing that to be done by the machine by using the artificial intelligence. You might have seen that the vehicles without driver, the trials are happening where the vehicles are getting designed without the driver. What kind of logic you think that inside those kind of cars? It is nothing but the artificial intelligence. It is feed in artificial intelligence, that where the sensors are applied to that one. And once the sensors are applied, whatever the data they pass on to the system which is fit into the car, it takes on that one, the further steps are taken and the car gets driven. And below that one, so the data science is a set. There is a subset in a data science which talks about the artificial intelligence, and in a artificial intelligence there is a subset which is called as a machine learning. Machine learning makes the machine equipped to give the idea and come process the data and allow the machine to take the further decisions on the basis of the data which is available and on the basis of the predictive data which they can use. So these are the kind of things which they can do. So once we understand that, all the traditional way of taking the decision is shifted to the data science, and in a data science there is a stream called artificial intelligence, and in a artificial intelligence there is a subset, a sub branch into that one which called as a machine learning. So there is a one diagram which I will share with ma'am, and ma'am will share with you that which is a landscape idea of how the different tools, techniques, and the different buzzwords fit into different areas. So you can get that better idea, which will help you to understand where you are standing, whether you are a machine learning engineer, whether you are artificial engineer, intelligence engineer, whether you are a data scientist, where exactly you are working. So that is the one. Why it is required? Most of the industries think that machine learning is reducing their risk. So now when they say that machine learning is reducing their risk, we always have to understand why and in what scenarios they are talking. Let me give you the example. I think the IBUS corporation already gave one of the sponsor project to few of the students in your college. So I'm talking from that point of view. Let's talk about the how the risk is getting or the mitigated by the machine learning. There is a all different of data which creates impact on the stock market, and the stock markets moves according to that one. So there are 100 numbers of websites available where the news gets popped up, and once the news gets popped up, out of that one we collect the data, and on that basis human take the decision that whether this data is in favor of the stock or not in favor of the stock. and whatever he feels or she feels, according to that one, the decisions are made. But in such a scenario, if a person is not knowledgeable to take the decision, or if the scenarios are out of scope of his or her knowledge, then the decisions may get wrong. In such a scenario, if you are having a machine learning applied, where if you give the algorithms to the machine, and if the machine is well trained enough and tested enough, and where the algorithms are matured enough to take the call, your decisions will never go wrong. Believe me, we observed this one in an industrial scenario, we observed in a software industry, we observed in a mechanical industry. In a mechanical industry, let me give, rather mechanical, it is a pharma industry. Let me give you one of the example. In a Gulf countries, whenever the person from the Indonesia or any Southeast country travels to that particular Gulf country for work, there is a one medical test which they have to go through. That medical test is a tuberculosis, TB, where they have to go through the scan of their chest, and the doctor has to see that scan, and after seeing that scan, doctor has to certify that fellow that this person is not having a TB and he is okay to travel to the Gulf countries. So that is the business case. One of the team in Singapore who worked on this particular product, and they designed such a product which is having a machine learning in which automatically scans the, once the scan is done, it predicts whether the person is having a TB or not. And this prediction is 95% correct. In a day, now that company is processing around 19,000 people scan and generating results over the night and passing on those results to the different people in a different countries in a Gulf. Now think about this one, the dollar cost of that particular test, doctor used to charge $30. And the time taken for the 19,000 people to do the screening and deliver the report, you can consider approximately 10 to 15 working days. I'm talking about 10 to 15 working days, which is equivalent to the calendar 3 weeks. Now, with the machine learning, yes, the accuracy level is a 95%, and the result what we are obtaining is over the night for the 19,000 students. So we reduced down the 3 weeks time frame. With that one, the cost of $30 reduced to the $1.50, which is equivalent to 100 rupees nowadays. So this much impact is created. And further to that one, machine learning algorithm itself told by analyzing the history data predicted by the human and gave the answer that my prediction is much better than the human prediction. We analyze the data, that particular data, where the data collected from the database, where the human doctors gave the certification that this person is having a TB and not identified as a TB, and the person who identified as a not having a TB and identified as a TB. So error type 1 and error type 2 analyzed and proven that the human error or the process which is a human having a human intervention having an accuracy of only and only 91%, not more than 91%, where the machine learning equipments achieved the efficiency of 95%. So why it is required? You are very clear, you should be very clear. There is a speed to market, how much fast we can do the activity, how much accurately we can do the activity, and how much cost we can save by having the machine learning applied. And there are so many other examples. There is a one company called Cofera in Indonesia. I don't know whether you heard about this particular company name. You can write down and search on that one, Cofera. This particular company is a digital marketing company, and it is well known into their business for the perfect market study and perfect market projection of a new product. So these are the different. Apart from that, Loribus Lab. You can spell. I'm spelling it out. You can write it down and search it out. Pluribus. Pluribus Labs. This is in the stock market. How they are applying the machine learning in the stock market, you can search on that one and you will get the huge amount of data and see how exactly they are doing. And this Kofera spelling is K-O-F-E, E for elephant, R-A, Kofera. So if you search on this one, you will get the too much detailed idea about how they are doing. So to get the data insight, why it is required, why machine learning is required in a current scenario, in a current business, it is required to get the details of all these things. Further to understand the business, how exactly understand the business means whether the customers are getting retained or customers are moving out of their life cycle. So they will be in position or you will be in position to get that one. Apart from that one, speed to market, as I said that 19,000 scans in a day getting delivered. So that is a speed to market. Accuracy, 95% accuracy, that is something which is required. Reliable, yes, 91% human accuracy achieved and 95% machine learning product accuracy achieved. That is another achievement in this one. Who apply this? The next part is, who are those people who do all these things? There are only two people which are classified in any organization. We consider them as either data scientist or ML engineers. So the data scientist is a bigger, broader position in an industry rather than the ML engineers. So most of the time, whenever the person joins any organization as a in a artificial intelligence or a decision making or a predictive learning analytics, predictive analytics, that particular student join organization as a ML engineer. That's where he starts or she starts the career, and gradually over the period, then the development happens and reach to the data scientist position. Data scientist position is not something which you can get into the position directly as a fresher, but you can dream for that one and reach to that level over the 4-5 years in any organization, and you can start progressing further as a senior data scientist or the director of data scientist department and all those things. So that's how who apply this one. How they apply it, you might be knowing this one. They apply this one with the different languages and the different tools. If you see, the coding languages is the first row, which is R. You might have heard about the R. You might have heard about the Python. You might have heard of, and you might have worked also, because. And if you're not working on this one, I will suggest you to start working on this one. Though it is not in your syllabus, make sure that you are spending some amount of time learning these technologies, because if you are dreaming to get into the machine learning business, you should know what is R, you should know how to use the Python, MATLAB, and then the Java and C++. See, try to understand all these processors used by all the different languages are purposely used for it in a different activities. So you have to search out that in what scenario R is suitable, in what scenario Python is suitable, in what scenario MATLAB, Java, and C++. And the next row is the SPSS, eViews, and Stata. These are the statistical tools. So whenever you build any algorithm, you have to make that algorithm matured enough. To make that algorithm matured enough, you have to train that particular so your algorithm. To do that one, you have to use the regression techniques, logistic regression, simple regression. Then you have to use the chi-square, mean, k-means, and all those things. So for that one, you have to use SPSS, IBM product, eViews, and Stata. And most of these softwares are designed and developed in 1980 or prior to that one. So these are stable softwares where you can download the free version of this one and start using this one while you are working on the machine learning. Few cases, let me confirm with the ma'am. Ma'am, do we have time or should I wind up? Because few cases might again take the 10 or 15 minutes. Hello?
Yes, sir, we can go ahead.
Okay. So there are few cases where I would like to put the light from my side. One thing is the educational domain. The core businesses like manufacturing, education, pharma, travel, human manpower. We will go in a round robin from the reverse way. Manpower, human manpower. In organizations, currently, people are struggling to hire the right talent for the right job. In such a scenarios, machine learning is really helping them out in a better way. Now let me explain you how exactly machine learning is helping them to hire the right candidate. What they do, they are having the particular algorithm built which runs on all these websites, whatever websites we are having, let's say Naukri.com or any other similar kind of websites where they are having the access to the resumes, profiles, and all those things, and they are having one algorithm developed inside house where these algorithms looks into the history data, that what kind of students we hired previously, what was the tenure of that student in our organization, whether that kind of person stayed. So let's say that there are different variables they tried to put into, whether that person is local, whether that person is married, whether the skill or whatever the hobbies of that particular student, what is the ambition that particular candidate was carrying. All these kind of variables are fed into that algorithm, and that algorithm runs on all these databases and gives them the potential suitable candidates for them. There are type 1 and type 2 error. What is type 1 error? Selecting the wrong candidate. Type 2 error, rejecting the right candidate. So machine learning is trained enough, that algorithm is trained enough to reduce the first error. So let's say first type 1 error is selecting the wrong candidate. So we don't want to select the wrong candidate. So machine learning, that algorithm is trained enough over the period, matured enough day by day, and making sure that they are not, how they train enough, every time whatever the data collected from that particular algorithm, they pass it on to the hr team asks those candidates to come down, and while human taking the interview or the senior people taking the interview, so machine gave the input that these are all candidates suitable for you, right? Now with that one, we ask our interviewer to conduct the interview, and out of that one, interviewer rejected 10 candidates. Out of that 10 candidates, so we said that this was the type 1 error, where we feed into the machine again back into the system, that you gave us, algorithm gave us the 100 candidate, out of that one interviewer rejected 10 candidates, and we gave that data back to this algorithm that these 10 candidates what you selected were not matching to what we are looking for. Again the machine learning algorithm got matured. Next time, that particular algorithm made sure that next time I do not have to fall or select into these kind of criteria. So that's how exactly they worked upon. Are you clear? Hello? Hello?
Hello, guys.
Am I audible to you?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the next one is
Yes.
a travel. The next one is a travel. So you can keep your mic on and you can ask the questions, or at least give me the confirmation that you understood that how machine learning is helping into that area. So the next one is a travel agency. So let's say you might have seen also, whenever you would like to go to particular place, let's say I would like to go to nearest place Mahabaleshwar, and if I search on Mahabaleshwar, automatically on Facebook all the ads related to the Mahabaleshwar and on the way to Mahabaleshwar hotels and everything pops up into my Facebook screens. Why that happens? Because that is nothing but the algorithms built in such a way that automatically the ads gets popped up into your Facebook account. So that is something which is also used by the travel. So another part is, if you see, when you book for the any particular uh, trip, let's say you book the particular trip by flight on a make my trip, and you booked it by the business class. Let's say you booked the train flight ticket with a business class. and see that what kind of recommendations Make My Trip give you to book the hotel. It will all be the premium hotels. And if you are going to put over there that you are going over that location for a business purpose, they will give you all premium business purpose hotels list only. If you are saying that you are traveling with the family and you are having the economic booking done, and see that what kind of hotel recommendations automatically pops up into the Make My Trip. So you will understand that there is an algorithm built in. At the same time, there is a mechanism inside the system which makes that algorithm matured enough on a day-to-day basis and gives you the better and better options. If you really see on Amazon, if you go for the shoes and the kind of shoes you are purchasing and the amount and all those things, on that basis they will start recommending you the other products. At the bottom you will see that there is a combo offer. So how that combo offer gets built in? It is a fuzzy logics used, it is a artificial intelligence used, and the machine learning used over there to give you the recommendation. That is something which is important. The pharma one, which I've already discussed with you over the session, that the bronchitis, TB, tuberculosis, TB related treatment and all those things. That is the one. Education, IBUS is working in the education field where we are using the machine learning at a highest level, where the predictive learning analytics. Predictive learning analytics means, let me give you the example. If I'm having a 10-20 different students, for that 10-20 different students, we go for the screening them, psychometric screening. And once the psychometric screening is done, we are having 20 different professors who teaches the same subject in a different way. And we are also having their psychometric profiles. At the same time, we are having lakhs of students of psychometric profile done, and we are having that how they are exposed to which professor, and with that exposure, how they performed in their academics. So we are having the algorithm which tells that, okay, if this kind of psychometric student comes into the system and want to learn physics or want to learn any applied mechanics or any subject, so we try to see in a history data that whether the similar kind of student was there or not. Yes. So what kind of performance he demonstrated. So we start looking and what should be done to improve that performance, which professors that particular new entrant student should refer, and which lectures that particular student should refer, which books that particular student should read. So all this kind of predictive and learning analytics we start putting into that one. If you really want to read more about how exactly it is happening, there is a paper which is published. I can share with you that paper, and that particular paper will give you the better idea of how we are using machine learning in an educational field. So that is something in an education field. Manufacturing, there are huge amount of usage of machine learning in manufacturing, because manufacturing is the industry where the minimum human intervention is required to achieve the higher efficiency. If you really see the medicine manufacturing, there are medicine manufacturing, pharma industries, there is a norm by the US government that how much manual intervention, how much human should be involved in a manufacturing a medicine. So if you really see that kind of those detailed norms, you will find and you will surprise that US government is saying that while manufacturing particular medicine, particular chemical or any equipment should not be handled by machine or human. It should be automated. It should be having the involvement of machine learning into it to take the call. So such a kind of manufacturing conveyor belts where the near to Shikrapur there is a Tetra Pak factory, the packaging factory which produce the Tetra Paks, which is used for the milk or any other perishable product to increase its life. So if you really see that particular factory, or if you get a chance to visit that one, you can ask them that how exactly they're using machine learning to make their product more and more better to suitable the current business needs. More and more suitable means cost reduction, perfection, and with that one, the durability of the product, how they can increase the durability of the product by reducing the manual intervention. So these are the different areas in which the currently, and believe me, these are not the limited one. Every area, you take the name of the area and you will be having a one business case over there, use case over there to apply the machine learning. And that's where I say that I will not be surprised to see that in a future, if a particular person who did do the innovation in a machine learning might get the different award, Nobel award, because you never know that this is the new era where the people are getting involved, and there is a huge scope of doing the research in a machine learning, artificial intelligence, to make the better world to for human to live over there. So if you really ask me, I will not be surprised to see that within next 4 5 years, if a person from a machine learning or a artificial intelligence gets the next Nobel Prize for his or her research, and you might be one of them. If you really would like to build your career in a machine learning, start thinking from the problem point of view. What is the problem currently industry is facing? What is the most of the time people are students say that, sir, we are not getting exposure to the industrial problem, how we could solve the problem. I said them, unless and until you start hunting for the problems are not related to the industry, problems are related to the humans. As the industry is serving to the humans, that's the reason it is called as an industrial problem. It is not industrial problem, it is a human problem. So you can always see problems around you and try to find out what is the best solution which you can apply using machine learning, artificial intelligence to deliver or to achieve the higher efficiency and results to make this world better place to live. So these are the kind of things which you can work upon, and how to proceed further. You can, I think you are having a machine learning as a part of your syllabus. That's the reason this particular lecture is arranged for you. Anytime, whenever you are having any doubts, you can pass on those doubts to ma'am. And if you require my inputs on those kind of doubts, I'm really happy to help you on those. So that's it from my side for the today's lecture. It is very high level overview for you. It is nothing to do with the actual coding, actual technical part. But definitely, if you are looking for such a kind of sessions, we can have the more and more sessions in that area. Thank you very much for listening this one. Now it's your turn. If you are having any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, guys, question and answer session has been begun. If you have any doubts, please. Anyone wants to ask something? Anyone? Yash? Yash, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any doubts? Yash, I think your project group is doing sponsored project, no? Yes, sir.
No, ma'am.
Yash Hussain. Okay.
That's ma'am Yash Doshi.
No issue. Okay, Yash Doshi. Okay, so there are so many Yash in the class. I think more one Yash is there. 3 Yash are there. So all Yash are same for me. Yash, अगर आपको कोई difficulty है तो you can go ahead.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I will take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks over here. Sir, these students are already a brilliant student. This is actually half of the class. Half of the class has been under the internship module. So because of that, we have to segregate some of the students under the module 1 and module 2. But still, I appreciate the time you have spent with us, and you have given us the overview about the impact of machine learning in industrial scenario. So today I came to know the another approach, because we teachers teach in the way which has been designed in the syllabus, but the people who belongs to the industry, their approach of looking at the problem is something different, and even the problem solution methods. We can propose the methods definitely, but how to implement it very effectively, I think that skill is already available with the industry experts. So, sir, I'm very obliged to have you here in this section, and the session was excellent. Even this session is available on the YouTube. I will share the link with you on the YouTube, as like other lectures. This lecture will be also available. Even if you have any other difficulties in case of today's lecture, you can ping to me. I can definitely able to forward this. So from my end, actually, thank you so much from all of the VIT Institute, from Department of Information Technology, from our beloved HOD Futania sir, and myself as the course coordinator for machine learning. I take this opportunity to thank you once again, sir. And definitely we will be in touch in the future for upcoming such nice sessions, which will be actually deal with the how to process if any problem comes to solve. That means if any problem statement is with us, then how to deal with it and how to change our view to look at the problem.
Sure.
So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And the students, you have to mark your attendance in the chat box, and even now I'm sharing this feedback link with you. You are requested to first of all fill the feedback, and then mark your attendance in the chat box. Those who will mark the feedback, for only them the attendance will be marked. Even though it is there in the chat box, I will not consider it. Okay. So, Mahesh sir,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much
Thanks a lot.
once again, sir.
Thank you. Bye
Yes.
bye.
Yes, sir. Yes. Students, you please be in the session. And sir, yes. Okay. ओके गाइस, आपको फीडबैक फिल करना है, एंड उसके बाद ही आपके अटेंडेंस में कंसिडर करूंगी. Today also only 32 33 students in the class. I don't know what's the problem with the other students. So this was the industry expert lecture. अगर मैंने कल बोला होता तो आई थिंक ये 33 भी नहीं आते. Those who are really concerned in machine learning, श्रीवर्धन, आपको पहले फीडबैक भरना है बेटा. Everyone, Srivardhan, Pratik, Yash, you need to fill the feedback first and then mark your attendance in the chat box. Okay. हो भी गया fill करके. Let me check. अरे 10 responses. ठीक है. चलो, those who have marked the attendance and also fill the feedback can leave the session. Form needs the permission. Which permission? Have you logged in from other than VIT? Harshal, if you have login other than VIT, then you will not be allowed it to fill the form. Log in from the VIT and then fill it, because others don't need any permissions. And I have requested you multiple times. Don't actually log in from the other than VIT login. It's our official login, so we should use our official login. Yes, I want 33 feedback to be get noted. I have received only 21. Those who have marked the attendance, fill the feedback form, can leave the session. Thank you. Muhammad Arif, have you marked your attendance? I don't find your attendance. Muhammad, Muhammad,
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I don't find your feedback as well as your attendance. Where is your
No,
feedback?
ma'am,
You have not
because
submitted your
my
feedback.
network problem. Ma'am,
Okay, but
my
then mark.
network problem. I will submit it.
Okay,
Okay,
fill
okay,
the
ma'am.
feedback and mark
I
your
am doing
attendance.
yes. Okay,
Once
ma'am.
you mark
Okay.
it, then I can leave the session.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, here this all notifications coming. I cannot write my attendance.
Your number? Mohammed? ओके ठीक है फीडबैक लिंक भर दो आप ओके एंड नाउ आई एम लिविंग